Hey, all you Arizona lovers. This is the Finding Arizona podcast. I'm your host, Jose.
And I'm your producer, Brittany.
And here at Finding Arizona Podcast, we collect the local stories of all entrepreneurs and from around the valley. So join us at findingarizonapodcast.com, where you can hear every episode and see it as well at
YouTube. Like, subscribe, and comment below who you want to see next on our show. And when you're ready to start your podcast, you found the right spot. Found House, your next podcast production company.
Now, let's get back to the show. Score big with SeatGeek. Whether it's concerts, sports, or live events, SeatGeek has you covered. Use code FindingArizona to get a fantastic $20 discount on your SeatGeek tickets. Catch your favorite live events hassle-free with extra savings. Visit SeatGeek.com and make every experience unforgettable. Welcome back, everybody, to the Finding Arizona podcast. I'm your host, Jose. As always, we bring in special guests, and today we have three special guests. So, as you can see, we have a panel in here today, and we're going to have a deep conversation about something very intriguing and something that it's always been at the kind of forefront of my mind. So, I'm going to let everyone introduce themselves. We're going to get into it. It's going to be talking about financial wealth and financial future, and a lot of these things that file under finance. So go ahead. I'm going to kick it off. I'm going to start with the ladies, Melba, and then we'll work our way, as you can see, down and then around the bend there. So Melba, please introduce yourself.
Yes. Hi, Jose. And to all of your podcast listeners, my name's Dr. Melba Bonelli Henderson, and I'm a dentist of 42 years, and I'm also a trader and a part of the team of Futures and Commodities 101. Mm-hmm. And it's a really exciting time for us. I'm considered a junior mentor on our team. Awesome. And we're excited about bringing our manual to the forefront in the marketplace to help all those that need our help.
And then next up.
I'm Barbara Warren. I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina, and I am a mentee of Delvin's, also a junior mentor in the group, and a help author the manual that we have coming out here soon in April. Mm-hmm. And I love helping people and wanting to get the good news out about how people can build wealth by necessities.
Well, thank you, Barbara. And last but not least, the head honcho, I'd like to say, if I can, Mr. Delvin, please introduce yourself.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Delvin Wright. I am a professional trader of 30 years in the industry, and I'm originally from Atlanta, Georgia, but now, I live in Arizona. And I love working with these two amazing ladies that you just heard from on our team. I consider them more than junior mentors because everyone really learns and look up to them so much. Mm. But yeah, they have been such an inspiration and so much of a bit, beneficial to me when they first came into my life. So the journey really just started.
Well, I very much appreciate all of you for joining us today, just from the fact that it is, I'll be honest, a weekend recording session right now. So I'm going to work my way back around, starting with Delvin. First, I would love to just get a quick synopsis of just how the world of futures and commodities came into your life and why it's so important, or what big effect that it had on your kind of world beginning of this journey.
Well, like I said, 30 years ago is when I got started in this industry. But what's so amazing about that, Jose, is that I had no plans or no idea about being a trader. I actually found this industry by accident. I met a legend in the market, and he changed my life. I met him, actually, I thought I wanted to go into real estate.
Okay.
And that's it. That's the area I was pursuing. And I met this amazing man who took time to just share what he did with me and took me under his wing.
Yeah.
And that's how I got in this industry. And like I said, that was 30 years ago. And I made every mistake you could think of. But I had a great mentor who taught me very well, and I eventually became successful at trading. But it was 30 years ago that I just happened to be trying to learn real estate and found out that wasn't for me. And here it is now. I'm actually doing what my mentor did for me.
Well, that is, I mean, again, from someone who literally, I want to say my story is that my grandfather taught me a lot of the lessons of storytelling and listening and communicating through his passion of being an elder in our tribe. And he really kind of instilled this love of like storytelling and appreciation of stories through me and my younger brother and all of the other grandkids that he's had. And really, he's missed because of how much he's shared with us and taught us a lot of our early beginnings. So I can appreciate having a mentor like that and really being affected from an early start in your career. So Barbara, you are up next. I would love to hear your origin story.
So I was involved in another business opportunity, and I had another individual that said, Barbara, I think you may want to benefit and get on a call with a guy named Delvin Wright. He teaches futures and commodities. I was like, no, maybe not. And I think he probably asked me like 3 times before I decided. I said, well, let me go this time. He keep asking me, I'm going to go.
The persistence.
And I was like so fascinated. I'm like, oh, wow, because I didn't know anything about futures and commodities. And I was fascinated how you could trade orange juice and drink it as well. So I just thought it was like a big thing. And from there, I've been in the group ever since.
Yeah.
I just fell in love with it. Yeah.
That's great. The same thing with this podcast. It's really been in a level of like, I dived in not knowing what I'm doing and how to do any of it. And it really became a snowball effect of like gaining appreciation, gaining momentum of like, I'm doing it. I'm in the weeds of it. And now I have this going on 10 years now. It is something that has definitely been a labor of love and a passion that I've continued forward. So Dr. Melba, I am very excited just from the sake of like you introducing yourself with this other career path of dentistry and now where you're standing today. I would love to hear why this kind of came across your door and what made you open it for yourself.
Well, first I started trading in currency. Mm-hmm. So during COVID, we were all in lockdown.
Yes.
And so business, I would say associates and friends of mine, they started learning to trade currencies. And since we're all indoors, we couldn't go anywhere, we're in lockdown, and it was all on the computer with all these classes, I said, okay, let me join. So I ended up joining. It took an entire year, and I learned as much as I could, but I just didn't get it. And I didn't have, it was one of those classes where you didn't have a mentor, you didn't have an individual that you can speak to ask questions. It was just watching a series of videos. There was no personal interaction with another human being that has the experience that can help you through and guide you through. Yes. And so we did that for a year and it just didn't work out that great. And so Barbara and I were in that same venture together, learning together. And when she came across learning about Mr. Delvin Wright, she told me about, she says, I think you would like this since you like doing that other thing, but it didn't work out for us. I said, okay. And so she says, but you've missed a couple of the classes already. And I said, okay. I said, so what do I have to do to get caught up? She says, well, here are the 5 YouTube videos. You got to learn all this stuff, and then I'll give you the link so that you can get on for the rest of the classes. So she made me qualify to get on to these classes. And I had no idea is that what she did. And so I within like a day or two, it's like I guzzled all the information in these 5 videos, called her up within like 48 hours. Okay, Barb, what's next? I've done all the videos. I've taken all the notes. I said, how do I get into these classes? Mm-hmm. And so she gave me the link and I got introduced to Mr. Delvin Wright. And it's been golden ever since. It was the way that the classes are run, they're just so doable, so down to earth. You know, it's first when you get on it, you think it's a totally different language. But with the repetition of it and the patience that was given to us in the learning process, it was so easily and treatable. And it just, the excitement for me in all of this is I like seeing what's going on around the world in commodities before anyone else finds out about it on the news.
Nice.
And that's the beautiful part. You've got the inside scoop when you learn to look at the charts, you know, and you know what's going on with coffee, you know what's going on with sugar. And so you kind of know you should stock up before because you can see what's going to happen beforehand. And most people don't have that inside scoop. By the time it gets to a podcast, by the time it gets to the news media, it's too late. It's already taken place.
Yes.
And
I love this.
So we're taught to stay on the cutting edge of what's going on in commodities around the entire earth, and there's nothing like it. It's a great experience and a wonderful example, even for your family, where you can give them the inside scoop. You need to go stock up on such and such because this is about to take place, you know, just by looking at the charts and learning just simple technologies, simple strategies that are taught. Yeah, it's been a wonderful experience.
I can tell you from firsthand knowledge of like just being able to understand, even during the early beginnings of my podcast, is just like how much effect of supply chain and just like learning of through the business owner's insight and just learning through what they've kind of the ups and downs of their own markets of like, oh, I have to keep track of these interconnections, meaning that, you know, because someone's having difficulties or having issues with one product, it's also going to affect down the line certain other products as well. And just being able to meet the owners and hear firsthand knowledge of like, hey, man, this quarter was crazy about this particular thing. And just having those dialogues really made me like, oh, intrigued by, wow, it's so, because I'll give you an example. I had someone who was, you know, manufacturing and shipping, and then they manufacture and ship to the actual like restaurant. And I had a dialogue with the manufacturer first, then hearing what he was having trouble with made me go into the restaurant conversation of like, oh, he's affected by this, but he doesn't know what the manufacturer and shipping company is going through. So, you know, just being the outside perspective of just, oh, wow, that was like a light bulb that clicked for me. So going back to Mr. Wright, I would love just kind of this. It seems like there's at least interest enough to continue this idea of like trading these larger, programs or something like futures and commodities. Can you help distill down really quickly what you're going to be learning from you if you take a class from you and take a chance by learning through your methods? Just because I want to see what Barbara and Melba had to go through. Like they were saying, it's like there's a course level load that just being introduced into this program, you have to take in and learn about. But I would love to hear from you just like what you provide as far as understanding the distilled larger knowledge that you have given to both of them. You're on mute, just so you know. I just want to make sure that you're muted right now. If you want to unmute.
Okay. So there's a beginner's course, and then we have an advanced course. So
got it.
We have it for everyone.
Okay.
No matter if you have any background, any experience at all. And what we really like to make sure people understand is that what we do, you've actually been doing it your whole life. Okay, you just wasn't doing it from this side of the industry. You were doing it as a retail side, but you've been trading commodities and buying low and selling high your whole life. You go in the store and you see a 5-pound bag of sugar on sale. What do? You want to load up on it because you know it's on sale.
Yeah,
and so you want to buy it while it's low. Well, we teach people first to understand that in this world where we trade, the commodities world, this is what a necessities trade at. You know, so not companies or not inventions, but necessities, things that the world needs and have to have. And that's what we do. But what you really get to learn, you get to learn how to make money when the market is moving, whether it's going up or down. We don't necessarily care whether it's going up or down. We just want prices to move. We want to teach you that you can make money no matter which direction the market is trading in. But we have to start from a foundation of understanding the industry first before we get into how to trade in the industry. So we start from basics of building a foundation and covering some rules that we follow.
Yeah.
And then we get into understanding the lingo and the terminology that's in the industry that you heard and you need to understand. So you won't sound Chinese to you.
Yeah.
And then we go into start talking about the actual things that trade in our industry.
Okay.
And what's the importance of us being in the market? What do we bring to the market when we get involved? So those are some of the most important things that you will learn. Of course, you do get to learn how to read charts, because that's the foundation. That's mostly the meat and potatoes, if you will, of the course that we teach.
Got it.
We read the charts and we trade by the charts.
Can I ask you, now that we're kind of getting into the nitty gritty of just what you guys are putting here and having the conversation with me about, you have these course loads, and just from the perspective of, Barbara and Melba, what made them kind of stand out from your other students to want to work with them and want to continue to kind of create new things, like an event that you guys are going to be talking about here in just a few moments, but also the work, or the book, and just the manual. What made them stand out from other students?
Well, it's kind of like you've probably heard before. When it comes to anything, is you get out of something what you put in it.
Yeah.
And then the hard work and their willingness to learn was on another level from others. Okay. So like you heard Dr. Melba speak about the videos, the YouTube videos, they spent relentless hours watching the videos of previous calls and lessons that I had done before they came around.
Yeah.
And they really worked together as a team, almost like accountability partners, if you will. We're helping each other. But one of the things I really loved about both of them is that when they wasn't clear about something, didn't understand something quite, 100%, they didn't leave that until they got the answer.
Yeah.
Until they got their answer. And then it was a dedication to, like I said, to learn this. I saw the dedication that they had.
Yeah.
And I knew they would be not just great students, but would go on to be great traders.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, with that being said, Barbara, I would love to kind of ask you about your trading and just what the feeling was like the very, I guess, first instance versus kind of these later transactions of like how you feel and how comfortable you feel today.
When I first got started, I was very uncomfortable. It was very different for me. I think I probably watched one video probably 10 or 11 times probably over and over again. And I kind of felt like a little kid, like I got to keep doing this over and over again. But eventually I got it.
Yeah.
Now I have a level of confidence that I didn't have when I first started.
I love that.
And I had to push myself and motivate myself to say, I can do this. I know I can do this. This is something that I've always known about. But when I approach things, I tend to approach it as if I'm going to see it all the way through. I'm going to give it my all. And so that's what I did.
Was there a level of like anxiety I imagine it's like a click and you're in, selling and
it was in the beginning. I probably had some anxiety, that it was new and I knew nothing about it. It was very different from anything else I had ever done. It wasn't something that I set out to do. It was introduced to me.
For sure.
But eventually it got better over time. Yeah, and I think we all experience that over time. You just get better.
Well, that is something that intrigues me even more, just because, again, I'm someone who's like very novice, but very interested from the outside perspective. So this is where I like to ask Melba too, because you are someone who career wise, you have so much vested interest in just the knowledge that you're putting. What made you, again, like, there's got to be a level of like, hey, I'm here during this period of, pause essentially with COVID happening. I have my opportunity and my door open to try something else in this wide world of interest and things that I can do. Well, tell me, like, as someone who has had a career or has a career in molded and done it and are just basically confident in it, to go down this rabbit hole. I can't imagine like where the fear for you was and like how much anxiety built in like doing something like this and trying to really hone in and capture a lot of that knowledge. Like, give me your insight as far as how for you, it's like how you kind of like take in the newness and take in all of that kind of fear that comes along with it.
Well, one of the things that, so that you know, dentistry is all I've done since I graduated high school.
Wow.
Yes, I started as a dental hygienist, and then I went on to school to become a dentist. And so I've done dentistry for pretty much my whole entire career. And being in dentistry, owning your own private practice, it's a brick and mortar type of business. And I don't really think I've ever enjoyed success in a business outside of a brick and mortar business. And a brick and mortar business comes with a lot of stress.
Yes.
You've got to pay the overhead that's fixed.
Yes.
You've got to pay the employees that's fixed. There's just, and dentistry in a whole, and anything in medical is expensive.
Yes.
The prices are horrendous, and we're trying to keep things under control. Yes, as far as for the consumer, the patient side, but on the side of the provider, the practitioner, everything is skyrocket high, and it's really it's a very difficult field for us to contain our costs. With this opportunity, this business opportunity, I saw complete freedom. Number one, time freedom.
Yes.
Where I did not have to be in front of the computer. Like with patients, there was no time freedom for me. There was a 9 to 5 or a 9 to 9, depending on what the day was like. One of my friends said to me when I got out of dentistry, she says, "You're off of the hamster wheel." I'm so happy. And I mean, she said it so well because I never realized, but that's, when you have a professional career like that, that comes with that type of cost, you do get on that hamster wheel and you're on that for quite some time. And so in 2022, when I started this with Mr. Delvin Wright, I had no idea that I would be transitioning out of dentistry anytime soon. I'm thinking by the time I've 70, I'll be transitioning out. Well, it didn't happen that way for me. So for the last couple of years, I've been honing this skill set, not knowing that I would leave dentistry early because of health concerns. But at the end of the day, I did. And I'm so glad that I spent this time in preparation, taking these classes, taking it very seriously, asking the questions, over and over until I understood the concepts. But the beautiful part is, like I was saying about brick and mortar overhead expense and this style of business, it does not come with the same expense because I can actually do what's called paper trading.
Okay.
Where there's no actual real money involved. We call it monopoly money. And we're able to take a trade from beginning to end and see the success of it.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Over and over and over. And what that does is it builds our confidence and removes all of the fear and the anxiety. And so when you're ready to put money into the marketplace, you've done this so many times and at your own pace. Okay. And you get the confidence that the strategies and technologies that we're being taught in this course is reproducible and it works. And so you build confidence in that. And after you build confidence in that, it becomes very easy for you now to go into the marketplace, put your actual money in the marketplace, because you've been building your confidence in the techniques and the strategies for as long as you needed to until the fear and the anxiety has left. And so now you're not trading from raw emotions, raw nerve. You know, you're trading from a place of being confident in the strategies and technologies that we're talking, because we've tried them over and over and over and over to the point where it becomes, I'd say it comes like breathing and blinking. Okay. And so it gets to that point. And so at that point, you're ready to actually put money in the actual marketplace and start, building your profits from there.
I love that. Again, I'm so like, it's fascinating to me because again, you two, between the two of you, there's this level of like, again, confidence coming from a place of like education. You guys are learning the process, and it really does. It brings me back to that feeling of like, I started off, again, in a really place of like, when I went to college, I didn't know something, and then I got educated through that process. And same thing with taking on the podcast as well, learning the steps, because for me, that's the way I like to go about it. I don't want to be the person who knows everything. I want to learn and learn through the process of doing. And I find that very, very helpful for me as far as someone who learns that specific way of like being hands-on and kind of going through that process and being kind of getting better at it. So, Mr. Wright, I'd love to just ask you now, because we are kind of getting into what you've brought to the table here and just what's going on right now, the book and the events. I'd love to understand a little bit more about what is entailed in them, or at least what the expectation is going to come from these two separate entities or two things going on from your perspective as being kind of the honcho, the guy who wants to make this happen. So please give us some more insight into that.
Well, the event is real near and dear to me. And the vision is for let me just give a piece of the vision to you. As far as the event is to bring together the people who are interested, but not only interested, but those who are involved with trading, whether it's from a beginner's or from an advanced level, but bring everyone together to learn in person, to be able to pick the brains and the minds of those who they've been learning from online.
Okay.
And now they had a chance to have a 3 or 4 day event where we learn and get some hands-on training, where we can have some personal one-on-one time and get to learn from those that we've been learning from. But the goal is for this event to not just be a learning experience, but for it to be an overall, experience as far as like a dream vacation. We all love traveling. Traveling is something that everybody has on their list that they want to do. And in our industry, we can do what we do anywhere in the world. So it makes sense that we made this event about traveling and trading. So the vision is to have these events all over the world. Yeah. On the stranded beaches all over the world, in the Caribbean. We want to have these events and some beautiful exotic places where you don't just get to come and learn trading, but you have an awesome experience you take away from it. Yeah. But it's all going into the fact that we really learn different when we're in person.
Absolutely.
Some people still can get it from Zoom and online, but we get a different experience in person. And that's what this event gives us, that in-person, hands-on type of experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then from the book or from the manual, give us just a little bit of your, like, what did you want to create from your perspective of this kind of 101? What did you want to really just, let's say someone like myself who's literally coming in with just zero knowledge and just as an intrigue, someone like that who's trying to join or at least have some intrigue, what did you want those types of people to walk away from with this book?
Well, when I was designing, putting the course together, it was based on, first it was based on what I learned, that, from the course that I took from my mentor. And then one of the things my mentor said to me, Jose, was that over time you're going to develop your own style.
Yeah.
Over time you're going to learn some things that you like and you dislike from what you learned.
Yeah.
And he was absolutely correct. So when I was putting this course together, it was more so coming from what I learned from him and what I learned over my journey. Yeah. And putting the course together also came about with, I had some bad experiences in my career. Okay. And oftentimes we like to talk about our good experiences and how well we've done when we did good. But I had some experiences that were very bad when it came to trading that made me change how I did things.
Yeah.
And one of the things that came about from my bad experiences is that I realized I wasn't following any rules. I was making money, and then I was losing money, and I wasn't getting anywhere. Yeah. Because I was all over the place, if that makes sense. And I needed some rules to follow. And that's when the course kind of started, or my journey started to change, and I started to become more successful when I put this foundation in place. So when it came down to starting to write the course, which I was running from, by the way, Jose, I wanted nothing to do with teaching. I really didn't. I enjoyed trading, but teaching it was something I just didn't want to do. Yeah. But I fell in love with teaching it, and it's funny how that works, right? But when I came to put this course together, I knew the first thing I wanted to have was those rules that changed my journey. Those rules is the foundation that we start off with when we teach the course, and that kind of sets the tone for the rest of the lessons when we put those rules in place. And that's what I want people to get out of the manual, is that the system that we teach, it all leads back to the rules. Yes. It's all about the rules. Every lesson you go into leads you back to those rules. Yes. And if you follow those rules, you can be successful. And anybody can do it.
Yeah. I love that. I think, oh man, it's scary. Like, it's something about, again, you're looking at these kind of big picture things and you want to say like you have control over it, and that sort of aspect of like, I want to be on the cutting edge and sort of, but there's a level of like taking a leap of faith, so to speak, of that kind of, that's where I need help with. And that's where I'm like, I would be so frantic about that first trade or that first level of like, oh, this is how much we're putting in and trying to, invest in or that scary feeling. But I happen to know that it is important from a level of like, this is what the world does to make it move forward and does on a daily basis with, if not you, someone else is going to do it. So that's where I kind of can feel a little bit of leniency of like getting into and getting involved in with. So Barbara, I would love to ask you now, and also Dr. Melba, I want to see from your guys' perspective, are you guys, let me know if I'm wrong, part co-authors in this book, or am I mistaken?
We are authors.
Okay.
Her and I, we actually wrote it together.
Oh, awesome. That's great. So one thing that Delvin brought up is this kind of like, there's good and bads when it comes to doing trading. And I'd love to just hear from both of your perspective of, I've heard kind of the happy and joyfulness. What are some things that people don't understand, or what are some of the things that you personally may not like about the actual work or process or kind of anxiety, whatever it may be, what are the things that you kind of feel people may not probably have a misapprehension about what you do for the trading part?
Well, I think that sometimes people, when they begin to win trades and win them, that kind of puts them on a high.
Mm-hmm.
But what people don't understand is that the only expert is the market itself.
Okay.
So, and then sometimes you could be emotional, when you're in trade, you have to be careful. That's one of our rules, you got to control your emotions.
Got it.
And sometimes we can let our emotions get the best of us. And so there are aspects. I've been in trades, and sometimes I've like watched them over and over again. Come on, like my emotion. I'm like, you got to calm down.
Yeah.
You got your plan. You got to see it all the way through.
Yeah.
So that's the other aspect of it. But just being humble, trusting your plan and the process is what makes you a good trader. Really, that, like Delvin said, the foundation, keeping the rules. That's what's going to help a person to excel and do well in this business, is when they have a sure plan and they follow that.
For sure.
Because like I just said, there's only one expert. And if you think you're the expert, the market will show you just who the expert is. We love to tell people that.
Yeah.
So that, that would be like a kind of a bad moment, because you're not going to win every trade. It doesn't matter. Delvin's been doing this for 30 years. He can tell you himself, he doesn't win every trade. And so we make sure we instill that in people.
Yeah.
We want you to be a good trader, believe that you can do it, but you can't have the mindset that makes you think, I'm going to win every trade. It's never. Yeah.
Same question for you, Dr. Melba.
Yeah. From my perspective, Barbara and I, we have Delvin said, we're accountability partners for each other. And I'll always remember that this is one trade that Barbara went in because she's always wanted to trade NASDAQ. So she goes in and trades NAS. And Naz is turning on her and she's like, I'm ready to get out. I'm ready to get out. It's not going to be. I want it. I'm like, no, you're not. No, you're not. You're going to stick with this trade and you're going to see it through, Barb. And she's like, no, I'm getting out. I said, no, you're not. Don't you dare. You're not allowed. You've got to see this trade through. And she didn't. She stuck with it. And so that's the beauty of when Delvin says we're doing a retreat, really to bring all of us together, because that brings accountability, that brings partners. People start to build relationships. And before you know it, you have accountability partners and you have a safe space in the marketplace, one to another. And as far as from the book perspective, one of the things that we saw, watching videos were excellent, but sometimes it's just about having a manual.
Yeah.
Where some people just learn by reading.
Yeah.
Others, they learn by hearing.
Yeah.
So not everyone can hear, a video and learn to their optimum. And so we had to launch out into the deep and put a manual together for the entire course. And so pretty much Barbara and I took that on together. And actually, the things that we thought were simple to us, when we started writing the manual, we were like, this is complicated. We had to bring it down to simple, excuse my language, simple, stupid.
Yeah.
Because we did not realize that some of the concepts that Delvin had taught, he made it seem simple to us that we were able to grasp it, able to apply it. But when you're writing it in a book, it was completely a different dynamic. And we had to rewrite because as we read it, we're like, I'm like, I would be able to read this and figure that out. And we got to the point where we were like, okay, we can exhale.
Yeah.
Certain parts that were difficult for us, we were able to actually read it and it made sense and it sounded like Delvin teaching us where it made sense. And we're like, okay, we've arrived in that one section. And we just get little pieces, bits and pieces like that. And just even the editing process for the book that was an astronomical feat as far as I'm concerned. I think that took longer than actually writing the book, the editing process, because it has to go through a series of editing, going back and forth to the publisher before you get to the point where you're ready to publish.
Yeah, absolutely. I get it.
And so that within itself was, an adventure.
Yeah.
But it was well worth it. It was well worth it. It's at this point, like Devin was saying, he trades a little different from his mentor now because of his experiences.
Yeah.
He's even shared with us the manual that his mentor had him learn on.
Nice.
And when we tried to get the manual, you only can get them from secondhand bookshops. And when you get them, somebody's already written in it already, all their notes.
What?
Yes, you cannot get a brand new copy anymore. And so really, he had no choice but to charge us to write a manual for the course, because there really is not a manual in the marketplace right now that's a brand new manual. You only can get it from a secondhand bookshop.
Okay, so now I'm going to work my way back around to you, Delvin, because I have so much intrigue and we have a little bit more time left. And these are going to just be fun, personal questions. So for you, Dr. Melba, so you said the secondhand bit, and now my thought process is was there any conversation about buying one of these handwritten ones and just maybe retyping it and making it a little bit more modern, was it always this kind of idea of we're going to restart, we're going to start fresh, we're going to make it ours sort of deal?
Yeah, because you have to remember, Delvin said that he has evolved.
Yes.
The style of trading from where he started. And so if we rewrote his mentor's book, then the next set generation of traders would miss his 30 years of evolving.
Yes.
And so we had to capture Delvin's 30 years of evolving on paper.
Okay.
And pretty much that's what we have in this manual. Even in certain excerpts, we've taken his voice and we've put his voice verbatim with certain things that he says in the manual. So when you read it, you sound like you're reading Delvin's story.
Yeah.
And so that was pretty much what we wanted, Barbara and I. We wanted to bring that to the marketplace. We felt like the time that he spent teaching us, because of his love for trading and his desire to not have someone else make the same mistakes that he did. If he could help someone else not travel that road, then he was willing to do that. And so we didn't think it was robbery of our time to put in writing his journey.
Yeah.
And some of the very hard lessons that he's learned, so that the next generation will not have. He becomes wisdom in this arena for the next generation. And we needed to put that in writing.
Okay.
And that's what we did.
I think that's a wonderful answer. So Barbara, you had shaken your head a lot during the conversation about the editing process. Would you write another book knowing the experience that you went through this time? And also, which is harder, the trading or the writing of the book?
I think they both have their challenges, and I would. And to be honest, it was through being in trading that I discovered that I had the gift to write. So I never knew that authoring 10 years ago, you could have never told me I would be an author. I'm like, who? In school, I wasn't the best in English. It wasn't something I really wanted to do.
Yeah.
And so when I was approached with this, I was like, did he ask right? Me? First, I think is he sure?
Yeah.
But then I began to do it, and I fell in love with it.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I had no idea that I could do this.
Yeah.
In working with Dr. Melba, we became this team unit, and we just, brought our gifts and talents together, and it became as one. And it was a different process editing. That's a whole nother
Yeah.
process to go through. And it's like, we wrote all this, and what's wrong with it? It's,
Yeah. Well, that's
spent
what.
months writing this. It doesn't work. And so we realized, okay, that's not going to work. So we had to, keep going back and forth until we got it. So it's like a birth that we had to go through.
Yes. So that's the one thing that we've had authors come in and share what they've written about. And that was one of the kind of common thread through all of their conversations was like, you realize that we write a lot, but the hard process or the longer of the two process is the editing portion so that you can have something that is digestible to the audience, but also something that it's like more. The editing part is trying to distill down and trying to perfect the language so that it is something that is enjoyable and in your style and speaks to you in your language, as well as being this kind of new entity of like introduction of what you're trying to either write about or what you're trying to explain. So it's really, a lot of people are like, yeah, I could write, but it's like, the editing part's the hard part is trying to get it down into something that is in the hands of the audience. So now to you, Delvin, I have just really, I got a lot of questions for you. One is like, you're in Arizona right now. I wanted to know what made you come to Arizona because I don't know that story, because one of the things that I like to typically ask our audience member or the person who comes in is, what about this state or what about being here has changed you or given you insight into the bigger world or what you do for a living? Because that's one of those questions that I feel like it comes from hopefully this state has made an effect on you, or hopefully being here has made an effect on you. Because I imagine an East Coast life would be kind of the ideal for a trader just from the stock market being on East Coast time, so to speak. But correct me if I'm wrong. Give me a little insight about that, but also at the finalization of this book and the kind of the actual printing of this, how excited are you? Because you seem like an even keel kind of guy when it comes to this stuff. The way that you've talked so far, you've been even keel, and I'm just like, I want to know the excitement from your end, just because it is a culmination of your career, your knowledge, and what you've taught not only to your students, but what you're going to continue to teach others who read this book.
It's a huge blessing to me, and to have something so special and near to me, to have it written by two people that mean so much to me. Like I told you, when they came into my life, it just, things changed, and to have them be the author of the manual is, that's just a double blessing. And when you say excited, man, I'm ecstatic because I never would have pursued this if it weren't for them. Oh. I got a real good friend that's been pushing me to do something like this for years, and I kept putting it off, procrastinating about it. And it was Dr. Melba and Barbara, willingness to put this in fruition, man. And that's how it came about. Because I maybe would have never did it, honestly. And I know that it's going to change some people's lives. I know that for sure.
Yeah.
And what's so wonderful about it is that it's written in a way that a fifth grader could read it and learn. Mm-hmm. Okay, it's not complicated. It's an easy read. Okay, and I'm not a good reader. Mm-hmm. Let me just tell you, I'm not. And I read it with no problem. So also too, you mentioned about me being in Arizona and moving 2,000 miles away from home. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking you probably already know this, Jose, but there's only one thing that make a man pack up and move 2,000 miles away from home. And it's always a what? It's always a woman.
Yeah.
And that's what got me out here.
Okay.
Well, I actually fell in love with this place. And I never thought I would move from Atlanta. I actually said those words,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah. And of course, like many, I kind of had this thing in my head about, the fact that it's going to be hot out there. I don't know about that. But
Yeah. Have you not experienced the first summer yet?
oh yeah, I've been here for years. I've
Oh,
seen
okay.
many summers. But what I'm able to take advantage of, because I travel so much, I can actually strategize and not be around during the hot 3 months if I
Yes.
don't want to. But
Yes.
yeah, you get used to it. But I love it out here, man.
I'm very much in the same boat with you. I came down here for college. I got to experience my first summer, and you know what? As hot as it does get, I wouldn't change it for the world. I am someone who likes to say that this is where my roots come from. This is definitely my tribe is a little bit up north near the Four Corners, but it's definitely a place that I call home because of how much I put myself, like you said, like life responds to effort. And my effort is trying to be a community member and trying to show off the great parts of this great state and this great community that I call myself involved in. So I really do appreciate you sharing a little bit about yourself and your journey, just because it says a lot about someone who can say, hey, I have the knowledge and experience. It takes another level of leadership to bring in two individuals alongside to say, hey, I need help. I want to share my gifts and I want to share my knowledge. Can you help me make that come true? And so I'd like to say, as a leader, you're someone who's definitely someone I can look up to, and I'm look forward to reading, hopefully getting my own book and taking the pages and reading, and hopefully taking my own notes just for my own keepsake and having that as part of my thing. So this is kind of rounding out the end of our conversation. I leave this last part to kind of talk over goals and just kind of future endeavors that you're looking forward to. So we'll start with Dr. Melba and work our way back around again. So are there anything in the near future that you're looking forward to? And it can be the events that we've talked about, but just something that excites you for what's coming down the line.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm excited, number one, about the event that's going to be taking place in April,
Yes.
first and foremost. And secondly, I'm excited about the lives that the book is going to touch
Yes.
and bring us in connection with, because I really see the book as being a connector. Because trading is one of those things that you don't want to do on your own. You want to have a community, a trading community that you're connected to, that you get to cry with and laugh with, ask questions that you think are stupid questions, but you don't care because you got to get to the answer of it to move forward. And so that connection, I think, I'm excited about more than anything else. And I'm also very excited about our community growing online, having an online presence, because the book will connect us to others, as well as our in-person travel and trade retreats. I'm excited about the growth that's going to bring as well. And so pretty much that's where my excitement lies, is the growth potential that's coming to us in this season. And I just get to look forward to it and just to relish it as it comes, at whatever pace it comes. We'll be ready for it.
Perfect. And Barbara, I know your excitement for this book, it kind of bleeds from both of you. You both seem like you're super excited about what this book entails. So I'm very excited for you to kind of give us what your future goals look like.
As far as the excitement, I'm excited about coming in person. I love when we can get together. I mean, we have people that's in the U.S. that's coming, people that's not in the U.S. that's traveling. That's huge to get someone outside of the country to come to our event. I think that says a lot about what we have to offer. And the book itself, I'm looking forward to putting out more editions because I know this particular manual, it's a foundation to help people to learn something that, one, they may not know about, two, they may not know that they can do. You know, when you get the manual, you'll read that his youngest student was 10, his oldest is 80. So there's no age barrier.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to so many people that we're going to connect with, no matter their age or background.
I love that. And last but not least, Mr. Wright, I really do I appreciation to what you've done for your students and everything like that. And the amount of excitement just from these two is just like, it says it all. And your excitement as well for what you've brought to the table. Again, is there something beyond the growth of the community that you're building, beyond just overall, like the events that are coming up? Is there something that excites you past those things? Like, is there something that these two don't even know about that excites you?
What I really like is the fact that I know that this is going to not just be for the people that are learning it right now. Okay, not just stopping at the old people. That this is something that's going to pass down through their families, through their generations, as my kids are learning. Just like the people that are learning the course and taking the course, their kids will start to do the same thing, and it'll be a legacy that'll be left behind. Well, people will actually be able to learn from a course that we found and took, changed our life and went into a circle of, well, we started to build, like Dr. Melville said, a relationship with people from all around the world. And it just warms my heart that I have a chance to have this put in writing and have it done on my 30th anniversary.
Awesome.
So 30 years of doing this and now being able to have, my strategies being, shared with people that can help people. And the goals are sky's the limit, Jose. This is our third annual event with the Traveling Trade. And all three have been here in Arizona, but they will be expanding all over the world, and we have, a goal and a vision to have these retreats going on in multiple places at the same time.
Wow.
That's part of the vision, where there may be one in Arizona, but it may also be one in the Bahamas at the same time.
Yeah.
Well, we won't have everybody in the same room, because some will be in the Bahamas, some may be in Arizona.
Yeah.
But the vision is really big where we want to go. And we just, like I said, the journey is just getting started. And with the manual, Barbara said this could be the first of many.
Yes.
Because there's so much to learn, and then there's so much to share with others. So
yeah, there's a saying that I really like to lean on, like with ideas and ideologies like this, where it's like, what makes a great community is the individuals who plant the seeds of the trees that they know they won't sit underneath the shade of. And that is something that I want to do for myself. I want to do for my family. And I'm so happy there are others that have that kind of similar ideas of what they want to do as far as legacy pieces. And between all three of you, I really do have high hopes for the future. I have high hopes for those who want to continue to help others and their own families as well. So that being said, this is the end of our conversation. I'm going to leave it to, let's say, Delvin, where can they find you online? And then we'll work our way back around to Barbara and Melba about where they can find you online, just emails, anything that you want to share with us today. And then we'll end with our little outro. So go ahead, Delvin, take it away.
We have multiple channels, multiple ways of reaching out to connect and be a part of our community. And honestly, Jose, no one is better at sharing this information than Barbara Warren. So
okay, let's let her take the reins on this. Good delineating, delegating the.
Okay, so if you want to find us, You can visit our website at futuresandcommoditiesOneOnOne.com. Also, we have a Facebook group that you can look up on Facebook, Miss the World of Charity. And there's a YouTube channel as well for Delvin. But if you just visit the website, all of our social media are there. futuresandcommoditiesOneOnOne.com.
Awesome. So that is very exciting. And then please let us know when the event actually takes place so that we have it in the recording of like when the exact time and date.
The event starts April 24th. That's Thursday, and it goes to April 27th. So we have all day sessions Friday and Saturday, and we want you there.
Awesome. I'm very excited because you guys, I'm someone who is fascinated by this and really does, between me and my wife, we have this goal of bettering ourselves and our families to help, progress the future, the ideas and what they learn. And so that they themselves are not starting where we started. They have a leg up because they had us to help them push forward. So very much, this is what I hope to learn and be educated and take it forward from there. So I'm very excited. Thank you, all three of you, for sharing your time. We do have an outro. You can hear every episode of our podcast at findingarizonapodcast.com, social media wise, all under Finding Arizona Podcast. And last but not least, we end every conversation with the kisses, hugs, and belly rubs to our four-legged friends. We will see you next time.